Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows. Shari Lewis has produced a wonderful video. It is called Lamb Chop Special Hanukkah. There aren't that many Hanukkah videos out there, and Shari wanted to talk about this wonderful project, about how it has brought a better understanding between Christians and Jews and Arabs and peoples of all faith in this country. I asked her how the whole concept of the Hanukkah video came about.
Well, you know, the special on PBS came about because the executives at PBS came to me and said, when we were children, we were brought up Christian, and we never understood what Hanukkah was all about. And now we're grown-ups, and we still don't understand what Hanukkah is all about. Would you do a special that is a pleasure to the Jewish community, but also will help enrich the lives of the non-Jewish families watching PBS with greater knowledge of what is going on in the homes of their Jewish neighbors at Hanukkah? So, since I wanted to do a show that everybody would feel good about watching and feel comfortable with their children watching, I called Pat Morita of Karate Kid fame, and I said, Pat, we're doing a Hanukkah special, and naturally you were the first one we thought of. And Pat laughed, and he said, why not? He said, after all, I'm half Jew and half Jitsu. Now, the Jew is J-U.
Yeah.
Then I called Alan Thicke, and I said, Alan, come to our Hanukkah party on PBS. And he said, how can I? I'm not Jewish. I said, you go to birthday parties when it's not your birthday, don't you? And I said, come and enjoy. And he did. And I think that goes a long way toward making the non-Jewish families feel that this is a celebration of a friend's holiday. In fact, my husband said something last night that I thought was so accurate. My husband often says things that I think are so accurate. He turned to me and he said, you know, Lamb Chop and you may be the first Jewish friends that many of the children in the audience have ever had. Judah Maccabee and the small army of Jewish farmers, using very little besides farm implements, if anything, chased away the strongest army of its time with the tanks of its time. The army of the Syrian and Greek had all the elephants, which were the tanks of those armies. And the Jews, using guerrilla warfare, were able to chase away from the temple and get the temple back from the foreigners who had desecrated the temple. And Hanukkah is a holiday about the miracle of the little bit of oil which was left. And oil, the lamp had to burn for 8 days. There was only enough oil left for 1 day, and it burned for 8 days. And that is the miracle of Hanukkah. But basically, it's Independence Day. And so it's a very joyous celebration. And Jews are supposed to put their candelabra with the 8 candles, which is called a menorah, one for each day. Actually, it has 9 candles because one, called the shamus, is used to light the others. But they're supposed to put their menorah into their window so passers-by will know who lives in the house. And in doing this Hanukkah show, I really put my menorah in the window. And I'm thrilled that Younghart has brought it out as a beautiful home video. Great cover, and the story is told, and I mean, it's a really good home video called Lamb Chop Special Hanukkah, and it's on the market now.
I hope this doesn't sound patronizing, but the thought occurs to me, and I'm sure this has gone through your mind a lot, that if you are introducing a child to the story of Hanukkah for the first time, through the character of Lamb Chop, you're using a gentle, trusting, friendly kind of way. So it's not preaching. And if that child had any doubts about the goodness of people other than themselves, that would be erased by the fact that it is put in that presentation.
From your mouth to God's ear. Or to Godzilla, one or the other. Yes, I'm sure that what you're saying is utterly true. There's no preaching because there's nothing to preach about, you know. If I were a very religious person, which I am not at all, I'm historically and socially and culturally a Jew. I was born a Jew. I love the history of my people. Just love it. It's a wonderful and interesting and sad and joyous history. And I like the traditions. They're great comfort and fun, alternately. But I don't happen to be a religious person, so that I'm not preaching anything. I'm introducing who I am and how my family celebrates this very joyous holiday, so that other people will know what's going on and can feel smarter.
Was this fun to put together? Obviously, did you find aspects of yourself or your friends kind of coming out of the woodwork when you did this?
Well, I was quite concerned that the orthodoxy would take umbrage to something, because everybody celebrates their religion in a different manner. You know, if you do something about Christ, you're not going to please the Episcopalians, the Catholics, the Presbyterians. I mean, you're not going to please everybody. Well, we've gotten almost no complaints, so I'm very happy. A lot of letters from various segments of the Jewish population saying that they enjoyed it and approved of it, which makes me very happy.
Cartoonist Charles Schultz told me that in putting together an ice show, and he's very acclimated to winter sports, having grown up in Minnesota. You see the Charlie Brown character skating a lot in wintertime. The first Charlie Brown special was a Christmas special. That he wanted to have a child ice skate to hymns because they were so beautiful. And several friends had said, wait a minute, this is not quite blasphemy, but you're mixing this entertainment of ice skating with Amazing Grace and some of the other hymns. And he said it was incredible, the support he got, the positive letters saying that he had not only done a wonderful thing, but the whole thing. I mean, there's so many passages in the Bible about celebrating with dance and trumpet and everything else, but he was afraid to do it at first, and he got an overwhelmingly positive reaction.
Yes. Well, you know, you don't, somebody said, I think it was Winston Churchill said, you don't lead with your ear to the ground. And I think that you don't create with your ear to the ground either. If you're preoccupied with what other people are going to say, you don't do anything well. You may do it adequately. You may do it so that it's accepted, but you'll never do it so that you accept it yourself as your own product. So what we did is we sent the script to a number of rabbis and had them check it out and made some, when there was a consensus, we made some alterations, and then we just went with it. And I'm very pleased with it, and I'm pleased because I'm getting a lot of letters from teachers in places like Minneapolis. One just came in the other day from a teacher who said, I taped the show off the air, and I was thrilled because I've never been able to teach Hanukkah in my classroom. We've now lost the tape. What can I do? And I wrote back and I said, the video is available, which is wonderful. Also available, by the way, from Warner Music is a beautiful music folio of the Hanukkah songs in the special, plus Hanukkah songs that are general Hanukkah songs.
The story takes place 2,000 years ago, and at that time the Greeks had conquered many Mid-Eastern countries, including Syria and Israel.
You know, if Syria and Israel got together, they could call their country Syrial.
Syrial?
Ignore him, Lloyd.
We do.
Speaking of lamb chop, I asked if before we left we could say goodbye to the little tiny character who has brought us all so much joy.
Lamb chop,
What?
there's somebody here who wants to talk to you.
Do I want to talk to him?
Yes?
Well, what do I want to say?
You could say goodbye.
I didn't say hello yet.
I know, but this is the end.
Oh. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye, lamb chop. Thank you, Shari.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.